Hello everyone and welcome. Ratkoska here bringing you this StarCraft 2 commentary between our two players. We've got Grubby, the green Protoss, spawning in the rightmost position here on Terminus. And his opponent, the blue Zerg, Hazed, spawning in the southern position. Now this map does make for some very interesting games. We do have our natural base right here, nice and open and exposed with this nice little choke point right here. And we've got a third base right down here with some very nice destructible rocks and not really any way to get down to them. I mean, you can do some Reaper to get down there, or, drops or whatnot, or build, just like a secret store pylon. But for the most part, I mean, this base is pretty well protected, and that makes for a nice third base play. And it looks like here we do have Grubby's scouting probe heading off in the northernmost direction. And for some reason on this map, we noticed that players love to scout in the absolute wrong direction. But Grubby will find out that he is in the wrong way close enough. What does make this map very interesting, though, especially for our Protoss player, is his main base is really close to Hazed's third base, which means he can do some very nice airplay and some air harassment to get some pressure put on that third base and slow down Hazed's mineral income. That is really difficult to say. Hazed's. Anyway, we'll get back to that in momentarily. Meanwhile, it does look like Grubby is going to be going for that forge contained at the very front of his base, and that will allow him to wall off this section right here with some nice little photon cannons, probably going for that air route we saw in the last game here on Terminus. Other than that, we've got Grubby just doing some good old mining action here. Look at Hazed's base. It looks like he is going for spawning pool first and extractor second, which will allow him to put on some pressure on his opponent, but his opponent's not really doing anything offensive. So I mean, it kind of would seem a little counterintuitive. You might have a little bit better of luck had he have gone hatch first, and then maybe he's going to use those Zerglings so start working on these destructible rocks, which would also be a very good idea. And we do have Grubby taking that very, very fast second expansion. Now, meanwhile, that probe does spot the spawning pool, is already on the way with 4 Zerglings out and about, and he's going to want to get a photon cannon up right away just to get some protection on there. Possibly even, maybe get this walled off so those Zerglings don't just run by right into his base. And there we go, starting with that gateway right there, and he'll throw down, it looks like probably a second gateway right here. Come on, Grubby, throw down a second. No, he's not. Nope. No, didn't want to get to fire block. Had to throw down a pylon first. And then he's probably going to throw down a gateway or a cyber core right here just to get that nice and tucked in, walled off. Expansion is now on the way for Hazed, and that probe is going to get killed and chased out with those Zerglings on the map. Looks like he is going to go do some pressure on the front and is going to realize that this is protected by a nice little photon cannon. We could probably just click and see, does he know about that photon cannon? No, he does not know about that photon cannon. Oh, come on, Grubby, you're going to want to get this walled off in the nick of time. Cybernetics core, bam, there it goes. And that probe being stuck on the outside, he's going to have to keep that bad boy tucked in nice and close to these buildings if he wants to keep it alive, but it is now stuck on the outside, unable to return back to the home. Well, I wonder what that probe, it looks like he's just going to, yes. Oh, he's going to try to attack the probes, trying to bait him, get him pulled out of position, but it looks like they are on hold position. And that didn't quite work out so well, and it looks like, oh no, hold position still yet again, unable to do anything with that probe. And there goes the first Zealot. It looks like he did want to chase away some of those units, and it looks like that Zealot is going to be used to clear up that scout in front Zergling. Pushes it back. Now all he has to do is take out this pesky Overlord, and Grubby will be able to do whatever he wants inside this base. Second base, or natural now up for our Zerg player, and it looks like he wants to use those Zerglings to start working on these destructive rocks, get those taken down to a nice low health, and now he can get a third base put up. Meanwhile, it looks like we do have some probe on Zergling action, and it looks like the Zealot comes up. Oh, but the probe manages to get taken out, and the Zergling will, in fact, get himself out of their lickety-split. It looks like the Queen is now coming up front to deal with this Zealot intrusion. And with those Zerglings on the way, it looks like this Zealot will be managed to take it out. Does he get a nice surround on it? And it looks like, oh yes, it does manage to get a surround on that Zealot, and that Zealot is picked off. Doesn't even get a Zergling taken out. And there goes 100 minerals now for our Grubby player. And it looks like now back to work on those destructible rocks. Wants to get that third base. Sometimes Sentry is now up, and it's going to chase the Overlord towards the photon cannons. And with this kind of pressure, oh, it looks like it takes 2 quick shots from that photon cannon. But will this Sentry be able to micro fast enough and take that Overlord down? Yes, most definitely be able to take that Overlord down, and that will, you know, it'll affect Hazed a little bit. He did lose a little bit of scouting information. He does still have this Overlord back here, so see, check on the natural. And it looks like we do have some robotics facility and +1 weapons now on the way for Grubby. Layer tech on the way for Hazed, as well as getting that spine crawler towards the rated by his expansion. It looks like the spine crawler will be able to protect this way and this way from any kind of possible run-bys or sneaky action. And now it looks like Grubby, with these sentries, are slowly but surely going to be working on taking down these destructible rocks. We do have a warp prism on. Interesting. Destructible rocks at about 700 life here, and these destructible rocks are still at about 1800. The sentry's only doing about 2 damage a tick to there. It's going to take them quite a while to take that down. 3 more gateways now on the way for Grubby, and with this warp prism out, he is going to be able to do some sneaky harassment, possibly put that right in here, and just slowly but surely warping an entire army, sneak it around the backside. 2 more spine crawler, 4 more spine crawlers going up for Hazed. He definitely does not want anything to get into these bases, except for warp prisms are really good at going around spine crawlers. Just throwing that out there. 3 gateways now are finished, as well as 2 more gateways on the way, and we do have that warp gate research is finished. Spire tech on the way, as well as getting Zerg +1 weapons now for Hazed. So it looks like he is going to be going for some kind of Mutalisk type harassment. We do have the Observer now flying down. It's going to get a nice detection, try to figure out where those Zerg units are, notice that there is nothing there, and possibly get that warp prism in to do quite a bit of damage. And it looks like now with 3 sentries here, they're slowly but surely starting to get the destructive rocks taken down a little bit further each time. Zerg armor, or Protoss ground armor level 1 is now being researched, and Colossus tech on the way. That Spire is now about halfway complete and extending the creep towards his opponent's base to allow his units fastest possible mobility. And it looks like, that Overseer did get some good vision, scouting vision, but it looks like we will have this warp prism dropping down for Zealots. Will it be able to warp in units in time? Looks like, nope, he just wants to retreat with that right away. And it looks like, there he goes. Now he's warping in more units. What is he warping in? Warping in Zealots. 1 Zealot did warp in, and he's getting the gravitic drive for the warp prism, so they move just quite a bit faster. 3 more Zealots now being warped in. These Zealots are having a hard time getting taken out, and it looks like 10 Mutalisks on the way will take this down. And it looks like that warp prism did not quite get taken out, but it looks like the Zealots are going to have to retreat if they want to do any more damage now. Working on the drones, taking down 1, 2, 3 drones. And it looks like he is going to load those up into the warp prism and just drop them off right away, because it looks like the Mutalisks did pop out in the nick of time and are going to keep this harassment from doing any more possible damage now. And it looks like 5 Stalkers now being morphed in for Grubby. He is going to need some serious defense if he wants to take down these Mutalisks. 10 Mutalisks is able to do quite a bit of damage now. And it looks like with that probe here, he does get the Nexus going right away. But with those Mutalisks on the map, looks like they're trying to take down a pylon. No, don't quite get that pylon taken down, but he is going to need to provide additional power supply for those gateways if he wants to keep them up and running. 80 supply for Grubby, 90 supply now for Hazed, as he was able to retract that, repel that attack quite easily. And it looks like the Mutalisks are flying around. Find them. Some probes managed to take down a probe. And yes, it looks like the Stalkers will chase those Mutalisks back, unable to do any more damage. This Observer is slowly but surely trying to follow in that place. And it looks like Gravitic Boosters is now on the way again. I believe that's the movement speed for the Observers. That's in the robotics facility. Yes, movement speed of the Observers. Looks like he got the warp prism. Now he's getting the movement speed for the Observers. And those Observers will be able to chase down those Mutalisks a little bit faster this time. And it looks like he does manage to pick off another Zealot out and about. Managed to take that one down. And it looks like the 3rd base is now coming under fire from Grubby. In just a matter of minutes, looks like these Mutalisks are flying around. They are going to spot this base, but with the Stalkers in position in the nick of time, he should be able to hold this off, especially with these 2 photon cannons. Might even be able to pick off one of these Mutalisks. But it looks like +1 flyer attacks and +2 melee attacks are on the way for Hazed. He is managing to do quite a bit of damage to the Protoss player, keeping him pretty much locked in his base. It looks like the Warp Prism is holding those 4 Zealots here. Wants to be able to warp in units wherever possible. Also keep a good idea of where those Mutalisks are, so he knows that it's safe to bring his Warp Prism down. 5 more Mutalisks now on the way for Hazed, and that is going to provide a very difficult... Looks like the Mutalisks fly in just in the nick of time. Spot that Warp Prism. And, not quite able to take it out. Drops some Zealots off, which are going to do quite a bit of damage. Might even take down the Queen, might not. and he definitely wants to get that Warp Prism into a very good position, so the Mutalisks don't manage to pick that off, and he's throwing down some Mutalisk rain on those Zealots, is able to take it out. Where did that Warp Prism end up? Here it is, up in the main base. Mutalisks just spawned and flying away from the Warp Prism, warps it in, and manages to warp in two more Zealots, which managed to get a kill, and oh, look there. Let's look at, I believe it's Control R. Yeah, workers killed. We've got 10 workers killed for Grubby, 3 workers killed for Hazed, so, I mean, he's trying to do as much damage as possible. If we look at the units tab, we have 61 probes over 71 drones, and if we look at the income of both players, it looks like both players relatively even in the gas mart, but it looks like Hazed does have quite a bit more minerals per minute than his opponent does. Alright, it looks like a lot of these units are trying to go back and forth. 4 more gateways on the way, +2 weapon attacks and +1 ground. And it looks like we do have Psionic Storm now being researched for Grubby, and that is going to allow him to do quite a bit of damage. And it looks like he's going for the Forge. Manages to take the Forge down. No more cannons are being produced from this base at all. He's going to need to rebuild that Forge if he wants to continue getting upgrades. Those Mutalisks just came in, sniped that down, took off. Oh man, that's definitely going to hurt. 2 Forges though on the way for Grubby. He was not thrown back too hard, but that will allow those Mutalisks to pretty much, or those Zerglings, excuse me, to just run into that base. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks do fly in. It looks like they're going to pick off a pylon and run away. And it looks like the blink in from the Stalkers did manage to take one Mutalisk down to about 10 life, but the Mutalisk is like, you know what, I got other lives, guys. It's cool. Don't worry about it. I'm still alive. I'm hanging in there. And it looks like Hazed is doing a very nice contain on Grubby, down to 157, or at 157 supply. His opponent is at 135, but once this Psionic Storm finishes, gets some High Templars morphed in, he is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage. And what's this? Hazed throwing up a secret expansion in Grubby's, what would be Grubby's 4th base? That's just dirty, man. And he's got one over here as well. I mean, looks like Hazed is trying to take over every single area on the map. Complete map dominance right now. The Stalkers blinking in, not able to do as much damage. Another Spire being produced and a Hive. So it looks like Hazed is going to be going for the good old Broodlord tech, getting +1/+1 upgrade, getting his upgrades on his air units. But it looks like he's doing a very nice job keeping his opponent contained. We do have a Stargate now on the way for Grubby, so maybe he can get some Phoenixes out and able to pick off this Phoenix this Mutalisk harassment. Because I mean, until he finds an answer for these Mutalisks, I don't think High Templars are going to quite be that answer. He's going to have to do something. I mean, he's about to lose another pylon here, and it looks like no, there is Stalkers there, and it looks like they do quite a bit more damage. But Stalkers, unfortunately, just don't do enough damage to Mutalisks to take them down fast enough. And I mean, it's only a matter of time before Hazed here runs out of or Grubby runs out of minerals and is just stuck with Fleet Beacon now on the way. And it looks like those 3 photon cannons did manage to find that. And here comes the Templar. Does he have a storm ready? Does he have a storm ready? No, doesn't have a storm ready in time. Looks like he was just short of energy on that High Templar. He's going to throw down some more bait pylons. Keep that High Templar nice and close to when those Mutalisks fly in again. Bam! Hits him with the storm. Does 6 damage and takes those units down quite a bit. But if you look here, I mean, Hazed is just pretty much just sitting on these. He's got 13 Corruptors coming in with a Greater Spire on the way. Looks like those Corruptors are going to become Mr. Broodlords, and those will be able to do quite a bit of damage. And it looks like he flies in, finds this 3rd base is pretty well undetected. Looks like Grubby's army is moving out, so it looks like, I don't know what he's doing here. I mean, Grubby's moving out with his army. Oh, he wanted to secure this base right here. Okay. Zerglings now running into the main. It looks like he's going to have to warp in quite a bit of Zealots to deal with these Zerglings. Storm going down, takes all those Zerglings. Oh, wipes those Zerglings out. Manages to find the Fleet Beacon. Is going to take that down. Takes down the Fleet Beacon. And it looks like those Mutalisks are forced to retreat, but it looks like he did take quite a bit of damage on those Mutalisk numbers. We're sitting down at 10 Mutalisks now when he was up in the high 15s. Archon now being morphed in, and as we all know, Archons do an amazing job of dealing with Mutalisks. And it looks like Grubby is now putting on some pressure, is taking up this Watchtower here, blinking in, managed to pick off another Mutalisk, picks up 2 more Mutalisks, and the Colossi now are going to work as he is spotting those, starting to spot those creep tumors, is taking those out quite a bit. Wants to blink back the weaker Stalkers into the middle to do as much damage as possible. Looks like we have one forward Stalker to see if any kind of Zergling harassment is coming in, but it looks like he does want to pull the rest of this army back and get let those Mutalisks, go back home and retreat. Doesn't want to keep out too far. Grubby now sitting at a whopping 120.94 supply. His opponent now sitting at 166. So it looks like the tables have turned just a little bit, and Grubby now being the dominant person on the map. All he has to do is sneak in here. Does manage to pick off another Mutalisk here. 2 more Mutalisks, 3 Mutalisks down, 4 Mutalisks down, 5 Mutalisks down. Takes down 6 Meatless, 7 Meatless, 8 Meatless down. It looks like he was just trying to get those taken down. And now we do have the Broodlords now morphing in, and it looks like the Stalkers are forced to blink up. We do have several Infestors and Broodlords now, which is able to do massive amounts of damage to this army, forcing Grubby to retreat 169 to 156, keeping the High Templars in front so he can feed back any of those Infestors if possible. But it looks like Grubby now forced to retreat. 188 supply for Grubby, 165 for Hazed, and a Mothership now on the way. +3 is nearing completion. Zerg Flyer weapon armor level 1 is completing as well. 18 Zerglings on the way, which is going to do quite a bit of damage to these Stalkers, but luckily, you know, we do have the Sentries and the Colossi in there to deal with any kind of Zergling harassment, and we do have the Observer nice in front so he can see anything that's going on, as well as this Observer here patrolling back and forth, and 3 more Broodlords on the way with +3 weapons. Oh, that's going to be so devastating, and it looks like he did manage to take this third base out with that army. I'm sorry, I missed that completely. And it looks like Corruptors are flying over trying to look for any Colossi they can pick off, and no, don't see any, but it looks like they do spot a Warp Prism coming out of a robotics facility, and that gets taken down right away. And it looks like Grubby is going in for the kill, realizes that there's nothing in front, is doing as much damage as possible too. Takes down 1 Spine Crawler, yes. Does he take down the 2nd Spine Crawler? Yes, he does. And it looks like now with those Broodlords underway, he is doing quite a bit of damage now, throwing down some Storms on those Corruptors and on those Broodlords, trying to keep that army back as much as possible. 182 to 183, and we'll have to see how this base transitions. Looks like the third base for Hazed is being rebuilt. I am so sorry I missed the destruction of that base, but I have a feeling it has to do with some of these Colossi and some of these Stalkers that just blinked down, did as much damage as possible, took that out, and then retreated back. We do currently have 8 Broodlords on the map. Excuse me, that is a ton of Broodlords, +3 weapons, +2 armor, +3 air attacks on the way, and it looks like Hazed is doing the good old Broodlord damage, managing to take down that assimilator as fast as possible. But it looks like, oh yes, folks, we do have the Mothership on the field, and that will cloak most of these Protoss units. Unable to really get in there with a lot of damage because he does not have the detection necessary to... Oh, and the Mothership goes down. The Corruptors do so much damage to that Mothership, take it down so fast. And we do have a pretty serious engagement here. Hazed looks like he is coming out ahead of this engagement, 170 to 144. Broodlords and Corruptors and Zerglings just doing so much damage to these Stalkers, and they are managing to take them down quite a bit. A whole lot more Stalkers being warped in. He's going to have to do some damage here. Those Broodlords are taking down those probes quite fast. And it looks like now the Broodlords are turning their attention to the Nexus, taking it down to about halfway. There's the blink in from the Stalkers, focusing down those Infestors first. Wants to get the Infestors taken down as fast as possible. No, looks like he's trading fire between the Broodlords and on the... Looks like he blinks in, nice blink in. Manages to take down 3 Broodlords, takes down... No, just barely doesn't take down that Broodlord. On 2 life, Stalker with the lucky blink in manages to take down that Broodlord. And there's the... Oh, doesn't want to continue chasing that Broodlord down as it looks like it was just a bait. Lots more Broodlords being worked in. 6 more Broodlords on the way. Another Mothership being made by Grubby, as well as lots of Zealots, another Colossi, getting the shield upgrades for his units now. Zerg is now finishing up those upgrades, +3 weapons on his ground, +2 armor on his ground, and again, those Broodlords morphing in. 7 total Broodlords being morphed in, another Colossi, and Grubby taking another base here, his 5th base, and he's going to need it. All the minerals he can get. He's almost mined out in his natural, well, just now got mined out in his main, and his 3rd base is starting to run low on resources, so it looks like that army is moving around. Does he spot this secret expansion? It looks like he might know about it. Let's see if we're... Oh, yeah, he definitely knows about it. Knows about all those secret bases. And it looks like... Ooh, that's a lot of Spine Crawlers being morphed in down here. That is a... Ooh, that's a lot of Spine Crawlers. It looks like he was harassing this base for quite a while. And it looks like now he does send that army in and manages to take down 1 Nexus, or 1 hatchery, excuse me. But it looks like his base is now out and about. And it looks like that sentry just didn't have enough energy to surround himself completely. And it looks like this base is now free and clear for Hazed to do some much-needed counterattack. And both players looks like they had their economy slightly devastated. 12 Templar, oh my god, 12 Templar morphing, and that is ridiculous. And it looks like Hazed is trying to take down this base, and oh, just barely doesn't get it taken down. Gets it down to about 500 life. And now with this base taken down and this base under constant harassment, it looks like, oh, but he can't warp in anything as there is enough Zerglings underneath to prevent any... Ooh, looks like he wanted to go right into Archon technology with those who Archons do some massive amount of damage. We have 47 damage versus biological, which, as we all know, Zerg is 100% bio. And the sheer size of those Archons, they are going to be able to tank quite a bit of damage from these Broodlords, allowing those Stalkers the much-needed time they need to do as much damage as they can to these. Ooh, Broodling Strikes, 26 damage though. I mean, this is going to be a tough one. And it looks like he is focusing less on the... Oh, nice warp in, getting some damage done on those infestors. Does manage to pick up one infestor, but does get his units nice and plague. Infested plague. Fungal growth. Oh my god, fungal growth, not infested plague. That's not the right game. And it looks like a lot of those stalkers did manage to get taken out, but the mothership flying over, cloaking these units so they can get hopefully get as much damage. It needs to get those archons in front if he wants to do the damage. Keeping that creep recessed as much as possible. And it looks like we got a little bit more lag on the system, but photon cannons being built, and it looks like Grubby is going to be going for the kill here. Sneaks in, spots some of those broodlords, does want to get blinks in, manages to take one broodlord down, two broodlords down, and is forced to retreat as those broodlords are on the other end of that open cliff. And it looks like he wants to keep that mothership alive as long as possible. Can't let the disruptors anywhere near that mothership because they will take it down quite quick. Warping in more stalkers here. It looks like this Air Force is free from the Zerg player just to keep going back and forth, doing as much damage as possible. And it looks like Grubby, yet again, going to take another base here in the center of the map. He's got to be careful of these two Protoss bases right here as the units are... Oh, looks like he did manage to get some units down here and is going to town on this base. If you can manage to take on this base and this base for a Zerg player, I mean, the Zerg is going to eventually run out of money. And, oh, it looks like we have a major engagement here. Black hole on the Corruptors, forcing those things to retreat. And it looks like a lot of the Archons and Colossi are going into that black hole as well. Looks like he's got to avoid that himself, though. Doesn't want to get his units trapped in there. Nice feedback on the Overseer. Manages... Oh, he's got to get that Overseer taken down. Oh, 6 Storm, 6 Storm. Takes down most... Oh, and there goes all of the Zerg units. Oh, 6 Storms. Oh. Looks like Grubby takes down this game 149-90. Hope you like this game, like this channel. Please subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later.